Hello, Media Arts 1, 2, and Independent Study students. This video is going to be showing you the warm-up and the mini project done on November 9th and 10th for both A and B Day. Before we begin, please make sure you have these items. You're going to need your watercolors. In addition to that, you're going to need water. You're going to need the 2 brushes that are included in your art kit. You're going to need some paper towels. And also, lastly, you're going to need something to mix your paint on. If you don't have something to mix your paint on, you can also use the lid of your watercolor pan. I apologize for the image quality because my camera is wigging out in terms of light. Okay, so before we begin, you are going to first activate your watercolors by simply, these guys have magnets on them, taking them and just putting a little bit of water, brushing it into the watercolor pan. Okay. Once you do that, you are then going to either take your mixing palette or the lid of your watercolor palette, and you are going to then start further activating your colors. Here is rule number 1 when dealing with watercolors. Never paint directly from the watercolor pan. If you do, your watercolor product or your color, your paint, is going to greatly diminish over the course of, let's say, the month. So it's always important to indirectly use your watercolor by simply loading up your brush with that loaded saturated color and then brushing it onto your paint palette and then adding water to it. What you're doing is just making more ready available color for you. Okay, I'm going to do that also with the blue here. When it comes to watercolor, always make more than you need because we are going to be using this quite extensively today. In between activating and prepping your colors, make sure you clean off your brush very well. Okay, make sure that you also give a lot of room in between each color. Okay, there is that. All right, putting this to the side for now. In your sketchbook, I want you to put the longest side facing you. I'm going to be using Sharpie so that you all can see, but you can use pen or pencil. On the top left side, you are going to write the word shape. And then on the right side, you are going to write the word line. Okay. And then you are going to draw horizontal lines bisecting your page. Okay, so this activity, you are going to be doing your warm-up of learning what is the difference between these 2 brushes. So in your art kits, you have a size 10 and 6 round brush. I call these rounds because the brush point goes to a kind of point. The bristle head goes to a point, and they are kind of round. If you have additional brushes in your home that you use for painting, feel free to go grab those. We're going to be using those. So this one's different and this one is different. So the 2 brushes that we're really going to focus on are these size 10 and size 6 round brushes. So on the left-hand side, in the top row here, we're going to do the type of brush, which is a round, and it says on the handle as well. And we're going to write down size 10, then right here, round 6. Okay. Using any color of your choice, you're then going to take that brush, either it be a size 10 or a 6. And so we're working with the size 10 right now. This activity is going to have you experiment and feel what a size 10 brush feels like in your hand, i.e. how it reacts on paper. So in the shape column, you're going to take your size 10 and you're going to use it to paint a triangle, a circle, and a square. The whole point of this activity is for you to get a feel of what the bristles of your paintbrush do when they touch down on paper. Okay? Make sure that you do not have any standing puddles. If you have a lot of water, so I'm going to exaggerate here, where it's like this, that is too much water. I'm going to be slightly exaggerating things for you in order for you all to see. Okay, so one way to make sure you have water control. So this is really loaded heavily with water. You can almost see the color on the brush. So you're going to brush, 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 brush some more, then it's mostly ready. So using the line category, you are going to do a variety of lines using either the tip of the brush, the full length of the brush, just to see what the brush does when on paper. You can then do some squiggles just to see what happens if you do like full length. You can use the full length of the brush, pressing down. And this is where rule number 2 for watercolor brushes. Your brush like head, the brush bristles should never flare like that. Always have them together at a point. If they do flare, that means you probably have no paint or water in your brush. So that means just load up your brush and continue. Okay. So that is what the top line is going to look like. I get my brush here, fold into between my desk. Okay, now taking the size 6 round brush. Again, the type of brush is going to be listed on the handle for any type of paintbrush. Load up some water. I'm going to use blue. So I'm going to do the same thing with my size 6 as I did with the size 10. One thing I instantly noticed when I have switched to the size 6 is I feel like I have more control painting than I did with the size 10. As you are working with these brushes, I want you to feel and notice the differences in terms of control, in terms of like detailing, just mostly control when using these brushes. So size 6 rounds, anything below a 10 is good for detailing. Detail small strokes. Versus a size 10 is good good for filling large areas. Okay. So we're going to do the same line activity as we did with the size 10 using the tip of the brush. Like, oh, I feel pretty good, like in control here with this. Okay, let's try the squiggles. Yeah, a lot more control. Okay, using the full body of the brush. Oh, yeah. A lot cleaner, a lot neater in comparison to the size 10. If you have a random brush, even a makeup brush, if you have those laying around, can help. So let's say if you have a brush and you have like one of these guys, okay? If you don't have extra brushes at your home, it's okay. You don't need to go out and get some unless you want to. You don't need to get fancy brushes. So this one, this is a flat brush because it's flat on the top. This is a 1/4 inch. Okay, so I'm just giving an example. See the difference. So I'm doing the same activity, like I did with the other 2 colors, other 2 brushes. It's pretty good. So I'm going to do some straight lines. Ooh, the lines are a lot smaller than the 6 round. Let's see how it does on. Okay, yeah, it feels a little wobbly. Except this broad stroke feels a lot better. Okay. Take down notes on which brushes you like. Okay, so that is part 1 of your warm-up activity. Please check out the YouTube video on how to color mix for part 2 as well. So after doing part 1 of the brush handling exercise and also watching the video for part 2, here is the mini project for November 9th and 10th. You are going to paint a scene using the primary and secondary colors. I want you to experiment with your brushes, experiment with color, and the theme for your actual scene is going to be fall. In terms of how much paper to use, I want you to use at least half of a sketchbook page. In terms of orientation, I want you to decide. You can have it have the short side facing you, you can use the upper half or the bottom half, or you can rotate your page, have the long side facing you, and then using the left half or the right half or upper half, bottom half. It is up to you. But until then, good luck, and I'll see you in class.